During my career as a gardener, I've used the term bulb collectively. Pretty much anything that looks tuberous that I can put in the ground, I consider it a bulb. But I learned a long time ago that that is not right, and it's better if we know at least a few things about the different types of rhizomes, tubers, corms, and that way we can better take care of them and grow them more beautiful. Hi, I'm Sonia with Suburban Gardening, and in front of me I have a tray full of different types of bulbs, tubers, corms, and rhizomes. We love it in the springtime when we see daffodils, irises, tulips, hyanthus, all those beautiful bulbs coming up. And there was a very important thing that happened down underneath the ground. This little storehouse was hard at work all year long, making energy to grow those bulbs. So I'd like to take a few minutes and go over each one so you and I can have some beautiful spring and summer color. Here in front of me in this big tray, I have a lot of different types of bulbs, iris and tubers, and we can go over them real quick. I think the most popular and the most well-known are actual bulbs. This is a gladiola bulb, and I just dug it out of my garden because I'm going to be putting it someplace else. These little guys are daffodil bulbs, and you notice how this probably was the parent and this is the child, and you can break them apart, and now we have two plants. So I love that. Garlic is also bulbs, and an allium is a bulb. They're related. Have you ever seen you buy garlic at the grocery store and little stems start growing out of it? Well, if you put that in the ground, it'll actually grow you a garlic bulb. In here, I have tulip bulbs. Now, I put this up here on purpose because I think that probably most people have seen this. And the difference with this type of an application is these tulip bulbs will be sitting in water. There will be no soil. And basically, I think when the growers do that, they mean for these tulip bulbs to be annuals. Well, my mom had this last year and it was beautiful. And I grabbed it from her before they all got rotten. And these bulbs are pretty hard. So I think they're going to be okay. And you might be able to see there's a little green stem coming out of this one. So I have a lot of hope for these. This one that I have here in the front is kind of an interesting little gathering of these. These are actually called tubers. This is a dahlia tuber that I dug up out of the ground just to show you, and I will be pulling these off so I can plant them in the ground. This is a milkweed tuber, and the reason why I know it goes this way is because these are not roots, these are actual stems. The roots are right down here. And this one right here is a canna. It's referred to as a bulb quite often, but it's really a tuber. In the back here, some of my absolute favorites, and I did a video on irises and how to care for them, but these are iris rhizomes, and they look kind of like little lobsters, don't they? Well, the reason why these are different is because they like to be planted with the tops on top of the ground. Very interesting. These over here are calla lilies, and this looks like a little rock. It's actually considered a bulb. And then some of the cutest ones ever are ranuncular corms, and these are also sometimes called claws. I'll get a close-up of each one so you guys can see what they look like. Also, at the end of this video, I'm going to put up some pictures. I've been doing a series on the language of flowers, and flowers have symbolisms to them, like daffodils have the symbol of rebirth and renewal and happiness. So I'll pop that up on the end if you guys want to take a look at that. All of these different types of bulbs, tubers, rhizomes, and corms need a cooling time. Now, I know that you've seen daffodils or tulips in the grocery store or in a florist long before they would come up in your garden. And that's because they force them. They cool them off long before the actual winter time comes. And when they take them out of cooling, it activates a chemical reaction in them, and they think they're supposed to start growing. So in our garden, we can cool them outside in the ground, and I do that with a lot of mine. Some people like to dig up their bulbs and put them in a nice cool place over the winter time. But most of these all need a chilling time. And I have had these in my garage for several months. It's been very cold and they've all had plenty of chilling time. Now it's time for me to get them in the ground, and they will continue to stay cool, but spring's right around the corner, so I know I'm going to be seeing some growth from them pretty soon. Each one of these different types of roots and bulbs, they have different requirements for being planted. I recommend when you plant them that you put fertilizer down into the hole, because they're going to be using a lot of energy to make these beautiful flowers. Now these Gladiolus, isn't it interesting that they're different? This is a different style and a different color, but these Gladiolus like to be at least 6 inches down into the ground. And they're big, hefty bulbs, and they're super hard, and that's what you're looking for. If you pick up a bulb and it's soft, put it back, because that is not a healthy bulb and it's not going to do very well. Now, just like with any other bulb, if you plant garlic, these bulbs like to be planted about 2 inches down into the ground. And if you planted that with, this is the root side, so this flat side goes down, pointy side up, that's pretty much the same across the board, it would grow you a whole big clove just like this one. The allium bulbs are a little different. They're more round, a little harder to tell which is the top, but just look for the roots. When you see the roots, you know that's the bottom, and you put these guys down 3 to 4 inches down into the ground. These tulip bulbs, I don't know, they're a little squishy. I wouldn't purchase them like this, but since I have them, I'm going to try to get them in the ground. Now you can also pull the little pups off and put this in the ground, and it'll make a whole new plant, and it'll grow nice and big like this one. These generally like to be about 4 inches down into the ground. Once again, just one more on the iris. You would spread out these roots and just put it right on top of the soil like that. And that's pretty much all an iris really wants to have done. And these are called rhizomes. Now when it comes to these cannas and these tubers, they like to be down into the ground. And look for where you see the roots coming, and you can tell that that's the bottom. And this one, I can see that the roots are on top and the little new plant is starting to grow on top. I'm going to put it down into the ground just like this and let these little eyes start to grow. And that's one way you can tell that it's a tuber, is that they grow little eyes. Actually, the rhizomes also get little eyes on them, and they grow these little side shoots as well. The dahlia tubers do the same thing, and I don't see little eyes on this milkweed tuber, but I can tell that it is ready to get into the ground. So I'm going to plant this about 2 inches deep. This is 2 different types of calla lily. It's a little hard to tell sometimes what way to plant a calla lily. Luckily, they have little eyes on top of them. And let me show you, this one has already started to sprout. So that's a great indication that this is the top, and we're going to put these about 3 to 4 inches into the soil. This is another type of a calla lily, and the bottom is smooth, hardly any indication whatsoever, but it does have the little eyes on the top, and so that's how I know this is where the flower is going to come out and the roots are going to form down here. One more are the ranuncula corms, and these are actually also called claws, and they sort of look like claws. The claws go facing towards the bottom, and then you have the stems that come up here in the middle. These like to be about 2 to 3 inches down as well. I think one of the best ways to grow your bulbs, your tubers, your rhizomes, and your corms is to cluster them up. Now, I have this wonderful soil. This is a fire pit that I turned into a planter, and I'm going to dig down in here and move this soil around, and then I'm going to put my bulbs down in here. This root right here is coming from this little tree, so he's going to benefit from it as well. lots of time-release fertilizer down in here. This is really going to help these bulbs have a lot of energy. I plant a lot of different things in this raised bed, and after these are all spent and done, I'll come through here and completely redo it and plant more things. But for right now, we are going to get these alliums and all of these bulbs into the ground, and they're going to look just gorgeous. I'm going to cluster them. These are going down about 3 inches. Now I'm going to make sure I put the roots on the bottom, which is right there. A couple more. They are just going to start growing really quickly because the weather is cool but not so cold that they can't grow. These are the tulips that I'm not sure if they're going to do great or not, but they do have a little green stem, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in as well. I'm just going to leave them intact and see how they do. I set out some daffodil bulbs just a week ago, and I can't believe they're already coming up. I just wanted to give you a quick peek. Can you see it right there? Already coming up. Now there's more in here, so we'll have quite a few. This is the perfect time of year to get them in the ground. We'll have beautiful flowers this spring. I was over at Sam's Club the other day and they had all their spring bulbs out, so I picked up a couple of boxes. It'd be great if I could go online and order a whole bunch of bulbs and have them from Holland or something like that, but I really just don't have space for that, and the growers that grow these, I think they do a great job and they look beautiful in my yard. So we can only do how many things we have, and this works out pretty well for me. My friend brought this over to me and I thought I'd show it to you. This is one of those glass jars that just has water in it, and these tulips are doing beautiful. Now I'm not going to let them rot in the water. I'm going to take them out and I will put them in a cool place so they can come back in the spring. If you live in an area that freezes in the wintertime, maybe you get a lot of snow, this process will be done around September before you get your first freeze. And if you live in a mild climate like me, January is the perfect time because we'll get some really cold nights, and that's what these bulbs like. Well, you guys, there's always fun things to talk about in the garden, but that's all I have for today.